Good afternoon, Minister Lavrov. Yesterday, the UN Security Council, after the vote, declined the draft by Russia and China to extend the UNSC Resolution 2231. What are the consequences of renewed sanctions against Iran that you see? Do you see that it is possible to solve through diplomatic means the Iranian nuclear issue? If so, what are the next steps? What is Russia prepared to take? The snapback mechanisms for sanctions is included in the UNSCR that endorsed the Iranian nuclear deal, as we call it, in 2015. It was enshrined there after the direct negotiations between the Iranian foreign minister and the United States State Secretary. John Kerry was the State Secretary back then. So this so-called snapback mechanism is not typical for any other sanction regimes. In essence, it allowed any country to put up for a vote, to put this resolution up for a vote, so that the sanctions alleviation regime will continue to be in place. And the country with a veto power even unilaterally could block such a resolution. That would mean that the extension of alleviation of sanctions won't happen. There are two notions here. First, this is not a very succinct wording here, but it's the main idea is to constantly keep the Iranian colleagues alert so they won't take any steps outside of this framework. The second notion is that Iran agreed to this exotic mechanism purely for the fact that it was sure that it would never violate this deal. Therefore, let them have this mechanism, let it be over their heads, but as something put on the back burner. But Iran is not going to violate it. Therefore, they agreed to it very easily. And the idea that the deal will not be broken by them, but the U.S. in 2017, or 18 or 19, I'm not sure. They couldn't even think about it. But it happened, and the U.S. have withdrawn from the deal. They said that they did not recognize this resolution. Europe, instead of demanding that the U.S. would go back to implementation of their obligations, also started to shy away from commitment to the agreement. And the number of violations is very well known. The resolution that the U.S. does not recognize. Now, the Europeans are cherry-picking what they want from that resolution. And what they want is this exotic mechanism for a snapback. It's very hard to explain in an understandable way. This is a trap. And that phrase, that para, was created as a trap for Iran. It's just yet another piece of proof that Iran does not intend to violate the NPT treaty, the commitment to the nuclear deal. Nevertheless, the next Iranian government has fallen into this trap, the trap that they have inherited from 2015. Together with the People's Republic of China, we've done everything to give diplomacy a chance. Even after the resolution about the snapback of sanctions was adopted, there was a chance to agree that for some time, we wanted a 3-month extension. We wanted to extend the Iranian nuclear deal in their entirety without adding anything or crossing anything out in all its aspects, so it would continue to be in place for the time when we hoped we could continue negotiations. Since West has torpedoed that and has blackmailed the majority of the UN Security Council members so they would support their destructive position, I don't know what Iran do, how they would respond. This is incapability to negotiate with anyone, and not giving 2 or 3 months so that Iran would be able to negotiate and find possible conditions of working further with the IAEA, with the US as well. Iran is still prepared to have dialogue, maybe an indirect one, through mediators and with the so-called E3. Iran was also holding conversations with them. However, the outcome of those negotiations just proves that from the very beginning, the European trio was trying to find any pretext to bring back sanctions. So any bona fide proposals of our Iranian colleagues to find a compromise, they were all turned down. When something was announced that there is hope for an agreement, right the very next morning, it turned out there was none. This is a deliberate operation aimed at coming to the next level of choking the Islamic Republic of Iran in terms of economy and finance and so on. What you are writing from time to time, and political analysts are also mentioning that the threat of new strikes against Iran is still in place. And as some are reporting, the people who know something about that they're discussing in practical matters, it's very telling. It's all synchronized, the military threat and economic issues as well. It just means that the European countries have no qualms about violating resolutions, be that on Iran or Kosovo or Minsk agreements on Ukraine. There are plenty of examples of that.